Leaders in the Claassen Commission of Inquiry have concluded their presentations. They'll now prepare for closing arguments. Earlier, suspended police chief Riah Phiyega's lawyers interrogated Lindela Mashego's testimony. At the time of the Marikana tragedy, Mashego had been the police media officer. Well, to get more now on what came out of the session today, we cross to our reporter Nozintombi Miya. She's live from Centurion. Nozintombi, both teams have closed their cases and next will be the closing arguments.
Yes, very good afternoon to you, Natasha. Both teams really did take the minimum amount of time closing their arguments. And you remember today it was the defense's turn to interrogate the witness that was on. And the witness that was on was Lindela Mashego. And what the defense was trying to paint a picture is of Lindela Mashego, who submitted two statements. One statement that was drawn up in August of 2013, as well as another statement that was drawn up in May of this year. And what the defense was trying to attempt to show was that Mashego only really compiled both those statements after he'd found out that he was implicated in National Police Commissioner, the suspended National Police Commissioner's testimony during the Claassen Commission. But as we have it now, both the evidence leaders as well as the defense have closed their arguments. And just to talk to us a little bit further about the way forward and what exactly this means for the process for the Claassen Commission, we have the spokesperson for the Claassen Commission. His name is William Baloyi. Ms. Baloyi, thank you so much for joining me. Where does this leave us now? Both parties have closed their arguments.
Initially, we set up the arguments for 5 weeks, but just within 4 days, both teams decided that they are now closing their arguments, and now they are going to prepare the final oral arguments that are going to be heard on the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd of June. So we have set 3 days for oral arguments to be heard.
All right, and in terms of the witnesses that were due to be called, we only saw two witnesses that took the stand. What exactly was the rationale behind this?
The evidence leaders were having 14 witnesses that they were prepared to call. Only 2 were called to testify, and the other 12, there was an agreement between the 2 teams that the statements that they submitted to the Claassen Commission were adequate and enough and not contested, and that's why they were just accepted as they are. So only 2 witnesses were called, and the defense decided not to call any other witness, including the National Commissioner.
On the status of the Claassen Commission, we understand that the suspended National Police Commissioner has gone to the North Gauteng High Court to attempt to get the findings of the Claassen Commission invalidated. Was there a submission brought before the Claassen Commission to disregard the findings of the Claassen Commission, and what exactly has happened since then?
There was no application that was brought before the board to that effect. Therefore, the board used every available discussion documents that were here. So there was no application that indicated that there is any intention by any of the parties to go to court on this particular matter.
All right, thank you so much. That was Mr. William Baloyi, who is the spokesperson of the Claassen Commission. And Natasha, as you heard from Mr. Baloyi, the matter has now been stood down for closing arguments to be heard from the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd of June. Both sides of the party have presented their argument before Judge Claassen, and they will now be preparing to make their final submissions when we reconvene again in June.
All right, Nozintombi, thank you very much. Nozintombi Miya live from Centurion at the Claassen Commission, which has wrapped up sooner than what was expected in 4 days, concluding, and as she said, both the evidence leaders and defence will be preparing their closing arguments for the beginning of June.